How do you
And
do that when you're that young? It's like to learn the American accent. I mean, I guess things are easier when you're
he's a
younger.
musician. So he has a
Good ear.
really crazy good ear, like a
Yeah.
very, very good ear.
Well, so do you. I mean,
Well,
I never knew
sometimes,
you were from New Zealand because you
you
all,
know,
yeah.
actually, since becoming a mum, like the postpartum of everything, my brain, I know I hear it does soften, like there's an actual reduced brain capacity when you've just recently given birth, because I guess all your focus goes to the newborn, which it should. But I notice my accent is worse. So that's a little fun fact for audiences. If you're listening to me in Ghosts season 4, I'm just having to work a lot harder to stay 100% on it. Yeah, my brain just feels
Were you
slightly softer and I
frustrated?
can hear
Were
when
you
I'm off.
frustrated?
Yeah, it's very frustrating actually,
Because you could
but
hear it. You could hear it while you're acting.
yeah,
So you're like, I need
exactly.
another take. I can hear my accent.
Yeah. And hopefully not many have got through the keeper, but I definitely feel it even in a blocking or anything, a rehearsal. I'm aware that the sounds are not just normally flying out my mouth like they normally would.
Yeah. By the way, having a child, how much did that change your life? You talked about postpartum. I mean, that's a real thing. I've had
Mm.
friends who their wives have gone through it, and
Mhm.
really, it can be really serious. You
Mm.
know,
Yeah, well, when I say postpartum, then I was just referring to the time frame of like having given birth. But postpartum depression or anxiety, I think because I'm someone who's definitely wrestled with mental health stuff in my life, I was so braced for that. I was like, I assumed I would get hit hard and fast. And maybe because I had all my resources lined up and I have a great therapist and I have all the things, and I was really lucky. Maybe not because of that, but I felt like should that have happened, I would have been in the best position I could be to navigate it. And then I was very fortunate. And hormonally, I've actually felt, particularly that first 3 months, I was very lucky. I felt pretty good. I mean, I'm exhausted and all the
well,
normal
that's really
healthy
good. That's really good
things.
inadvertent advice
Mm.
to women out there is like, to prepare for
Hmm.
with mentally, physically,
Hmm.
like do everything you can. So if it does happen, it's not a complete shock. You're like, okay, I was thinking this could happen and this is
Yeah.
happening. And how do I deal with it? Right.
I think in a similar way, when COVID hit, the pandemic, any of these sort of giant life events, I was so used to feeling quite fragile and uh, having struggled with coping with uncertainty my whole life. When big uncertainties that actually warrant concern occur, I sort of already have tools at the moment that have been able to help me with those. I felt like, yeah, like the newness that a lot of people experienced around that shock and not knowing what the next few years looked like. I had one weird upside of being somebody who's had OCD and dealt with stuff is like, yeah, it felt familiar.
Yeah. Yeah.
And not that I wish that experience upon anybody, but it's like it's all about finding the upsides in whatever cards you dealt. And that was definitely a bonus for me, was being able to, and the same with postpartum, being ready and willing to face whatever mental health struggles were going to come. And then, maybe I was just fortunate because that happens too. Maybe it was just the hormones, but maybe having investigated some of those feelings and the concerns around that helped a little, I
Yeah.
think.